Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Overnight Gaming Podcast, episode number 4. Each week, three best friends get together and talk about our favorite video game news stories from the past week and what games we've been playing. We have Leonard behind the computer, Jason on the mic, and I'm Chris. Jason, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've actually been on vacation from work for the past week, so it's been pretty nice. I'm
I've
still
noticed
very tired.
the two of you practically left me alone at work.
It's fine. Yeah, you don't really need us
Well, not just that. Dan was also off. Three-quarters of the people I talked to at work were just gone.
there.
Just gone.
Well, we have a lot of stuff that we can talk about this week. Well, all right. I've given too much credit to the news this week. We have some stuff that we can talk about in the
We
news
have
this week.
scraped the news out of this week.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not horrible. There's some interesting things that we can talk about this week. First off,
I
we'll
would
start off with the Mario Maker 2 information. Actually, you know what? We'll start off with the update to the Nintendo Joy-Con drift situation. Do you want to talk about the update to that situation, or want me to get it?
and I got it. It was coming from Kotaku. So it turns out that Nintendo is just like they're getting in front of this thing.
Well,
They're just gonna. Well,
let's
okay, all
not
right.
say they're getting in front of it. They're addressing the situation.
Well, yeah, they're addressing it. I guess that class action probably did bring up a little bit more info, a little bit more of an ear perk from Nintendo than we were expecting. This is from Luke Plunkett. I should really practice how to say these names before we get on air. Uh, report Nintendo will fix broken Joy-Cons for free, refund prior repairs. Okay, so basically, let's see if I can find the actual quote from Nintendo here, but they just put out a statement. It's even on the front of their website now, where you can just click a link for like Joy-Con repair, Joy-Con drift. You can just send your Joy-Cons in to Nintendo, and I think it's $4 shipping and handling. They'll fix it, or they'll send a new one back, whichever one they're going to do. Um, and they're refunding people for repairs made to Joy-Cons outside of Nintendo, which is a pretty cool thing. Like, you know, some companies, which we have that right to repair law now, so it's a little bit better on everybody. But some companies will just flat out be like, "Oh, you fix it yourself. Warranty is voided," sort of stuff. But it's not a terrible thing. The Joy Cons wear out pretty easily. I think more so than really any other controller, and that's really where the problem is because any controller is going to get drift with time with use, but
Yeah.
Joy Cons are burning out faster than anything.
Well, that's
Um,
the thing with what they're doing. They were originally charging the $4 to to repair the Joy-Con. They said that the repair for the Joy-Con was free. The consumer would have to pay the $4 shipping and handling to get it done. And just the $4 is not a lot, but people were getting upset because the Joy-Cons were noticing the drift was pretty significant, and the PlayStation controller and Xbox controllers from personal experience have last a pretty long time before they actually
Even
get
the
the
Switch
Joy-Con.
Pro controller lasts a lot better.
Even the Pro controller.
Yeah.
They noticed the Joy-Con controllers were being affected by the drift significantly faster than the other normal controllers. So what they're doing now is because of this lawsuit, apparently because of this lawsuit, they have not confirmed that they're not now actually not going to charge the $4 for shipping and handling, and they're anyone who contacts them, they're actually going to give them the refund for prior $4 shipping and handling. That's what's actually the news story this week for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you mean there.
Yeah, just a little update. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to turn a lawsuit down, so that way because it was turning into a class action lawsuit, and I actually saw a page somewhere that they were saying if you've been affected by the Joy-Con drift and they had a link up there to join up and give the information and stuff. I personally don't think it's that big a deal. I don't all I would like is for Nintendo to fix the Joy-Con drift in future controllers. That I'm not asking to send mine in because, like I think I said last week, I'm not. I don't even think I'm affected by it.
Yeah, mine.
Mine are fine.
mine had a little bit of a drift, and then there's a bunch of like online here's how to fix your drift videos,
Yeah.
and I did
Most of
all
them
that.
require you to open the Joy-Con though, right?
Yeah, I didn't do any of the open the Joy-Con
Yeah,
ones. There are
I wouldn't
tiny,
do that.
tiny little solder joints in there that I'm not comfortable with resoldering. Uh, but just sort of like clean out the little gunk from it or like work it out. And it turns out that mine actually, I just went in and recalibrated my Joy-Con, and it hasn't drifted since. I have been
That's what
using my Pro controller more,
hmm
but my
That's what I've heard.
Joy-Cons haven't drifted.
That's what I've heard though. Is I think you even mentioned that last week. Is that recalibrating the Joy-Con is kind of like a temporary fix. But even sending the Joy-Cons in currently to Nintendo has been reported to only be a temporary fix because just a few months after the customer gets the Joy-Con back, it starts to drift again,
It's
which was one of the big problems with it.
it's because kids these days don't take care of their belongings.
Well, kids are gonna get the Switch Lite. I think it's more of the actual Nintendo hardcores who got the Switch in the first year, and then when it started to go more mainstream in the second year, that's when people are like, "Hey, there's a problem here."
Yeah, mine honestly didn't start drifting until Smash Brothers, which you put some pretty hard work into your Joy Cons whenever you're playing Smash Brothers on them.
Yeah.
So
We'll go ahead and move on to more Nintendo news. This one's a little bit upsetting as well. It's got some good news and bad news to it. So Nintendo is has updated the Super Mario Maker 2, the game that just came out last Friday, I believe, and it's been pretty well received for the most part. I know a bunch of people have been updating or making a bunch of good levels and putting them out, a bunch of Kaizo levels, but also a bunch of like cool little puzzle levels or the ones where you just put the controller down and auto runs.
I love
I think
watching
they
the
call
auto
them.
runs. I love
Yeah, the auto
watching them.
runs are really cool, especially when they add like music and stuff onto them.
Yeah.
But the they have an upload limit for the amount of levels that you can upload to their servers, and the original limit was 32. So just this past week, they actually doubled that limit to 64 levels. So now a person can upload 64 Mario Maker levels that they've made to Nintendo servers, which is a significant amount. I figured 32 was a significant amount of levels because I can't make one, much less 32 levels.
I've made literally
So
one in Mario Maker 1,
yeah,
and pretty proud
so
of it. It's about 5 seconds long, but pretty proud of it.
yeah, so 64 is a lot of Nintendo levels to make.
Wait a minute.
But
Nintendo 64 Mini confirmed.
I is it really?
No, I was making a joke
Oh,
about Nintendo. But we
I was
had
like,
just
oh, let me go check this out real quick because we gotta hold the phone. But anyway, back to real news. 64 levels is a lot of Mario levels to make. Now, that's the good news of this story. What's upsetting with this story is that for some reason Nintendo is getting really hard on cracking down on I don't even know what kind of levels they're cracking down on. It's kind of just like it's it's like random. I don't want to say it's random, but it's kind of like the Twitch laws, where the laws kind of apply to some people, but the laws don't apply to other people. So anyway, Nintendo's been cracking down on a lot of Mario levels. They've been deleting them if they have like bad content or if it gets reported enough. But the problem with this is Nintendo is actually not only deleting the levels from their servers, they actually have the ability to delete the level from your game. Well, not delete it, prevent you from having access to your level on your game. So I have the story here from Kotaku, from Ian Walker at Kotaku, where one of the examples that he gives is there was a glitch in Super Mario Maker 1. It's a black hole glitch where you can actually trick the game into stacking multiple items on top of each other. That way, when you're not supposed to be able to do that, and you can actually make some pretty crazy things. One of the things that they make is they take like that fireball line that they have in like the castle. I'm not sure what they call it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The
it's
one
a
that circles around.
fireball bar, I want to say. The thing in
Yeah,
Smash Brothers.
Yeah, you put it on the block, whatever, and it just does like the circle, and it's just a line of fire. Well, they can actually make it to where you can put like 10 of them on top of each other, so it's just like a Ferris wheel of fire. It gets pretty crazy. So anyway, you're not supposed to be able to do that, and you could do it originally in Super Mario Maker 1, but they actually people have found a way to do it in Super Mario Maker 2. It's called the black hole, and
Black hole glitch. Glitching
yeah,
is a
and
very key word in
it
this, I think, actually.
e- yes, I agree with you there. It is technically a glitch, but the problem with this is the when if you it happens when because there's a certain amount of items that you can put into the level. So if you exceed that limit, Nintendo has the ability. I guess it's built into the game, where it when you save it, you exit out and you come back to try to play it or fix it. It'll actually give you an error. It says corrupt data, and according to Ian Walker at Kotaku, it says it outright deletes your level with no way of recovery, with no way of recovering any of the work you've put into it. While this isn't a big deal if you were deliberately trying to glitch the game out, it's incredibly easy to bypass the sprite limit inadvertently by simply copying and pasting an item or enemy when you're already near the threshold. So what he's saying there is if you accidentally get to this limit and you're not trying to do the glitch, you're just not paying attention to your sprite limit and you go over that limit, Nintendo has it built into the game where when you save it and you exit and try to go back into it, it's going to give you corrupt data and you will not be able to access that level any longer. So if you put hours and hours into that level to try and make it as cool as you can and you go over that limit, boom, Nintendo's like you're done. Sorry,
Uh,
you tried you screwed up somewhere.
how easy is this to do by mistake? Like,
Well,
how
like
how legitimately easy is it to do by mistake?
he just said it. He said if you're making the level and all it is the sprite limit that's built into the game and you inadvertently weren't paying attention to the amount of sprites you had in the game and you copy and paste I'm sorry and you go over that limit, then it's done. Your level's done.
Is there no like marker for what you're building or like? Because I remember pretty vividly in Mario Maker 1. I haven't played 2 yet. That when you're approaching that limit, it just tells you. Like it stops letting you even access the menu to put anything on there. So like there's signs in place that you've
Hmm.
exceeded this limit. You've played 1, right?
I dabbled in one.
Okay, I made a course in 1, and I vividly remember running out of being able to put things in the level. Like it just flat out told me like it wouldn't let me take anything out of the menu, it wouldn't let me add anything. When I tried to add something, it would just say no. So like there's things in place to make you not go over the limit. It does super suck
Hmm.
if you did it by mistake. Like if you put one or two too many Goombas in a level, they're getting corruption. But I think most of the people getting hit with this are the people that want to exploit this.
I don't
I
know
think it's I
if we
really do think it's people trying to exploit the glitch.
if I go further down the article here. Ian
Yeah, I'm
continues, a quick search of the Mario Maker subreddit shows that several people have already run into the corrupt data message, one of whom lost the course they had already spent 2 hours developing. Evidently, the error can also pop up during saving and uploading, allowing the creator to go back and remove any offending sprites. But in the event of Super Mario Maker 2, that Super Mario Maker 2 allows the level to be saved, it will be lost by the time you return to the course spot screen. One would assume that any levels that are, for all intents and purposes, offline would be safe from the regulations, but this situation shows the courses are still moderated, even if they have not reached Nintendo servers. So it seems like it's not that difficult to go over the sprite limit and to get this to happen. I feel like
uh,
even if it's a glitch, right? Even if people accidentally or people are purposely using the glitch, why are they affecting the offline levels? Why do I have to leave them? They're not. Just put a message on there, or maybe even if you do happen to upload it and they notice it on their servers, they say, hey, you can't do that. Corrupt data. If it's offline, it's offline. It's single player, or maybe you have someone come over. You can't make it an official level unless you can upload it to their servers anyway. So just leave it offline. I don't see what the big deal is. There's been glitches in games since games have been here, and and this actually goes back to the Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed. I don't know if we had it in the story last week, but where they were talking about the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the that
Oh,
just
the
came out,
grind. Yeah, the reason.
the level maker in Super Mario Odyssey, where you people
Not Super
were,
Mario Odyssey.
yeah,
Assassin's
you're
Creed
right. I'm
Odyssey.
sorry. That'd be pretty cool. Actually, they have Super Mario Odyssey. What I'm talking about. But the level editor in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, people were making levels where all you do is get like a million XP from like walking up and killing one person. You just get a million XP and you level up a whole bunch. And Ubisoft said we're cracking down on this. You're not supposed to be able to do this. It's a single player
Well,
game.
I think. Well, no, no. Ubisoft. I think the difference between the Ubisoft and Nintendo thing is that Ubisoft sells experience boosters for that game.
Yes, and I agree with you. That is a shitty thing that Ubisoft is doing because they sell that. But even then, it's a single player game. The game's been out since November. If people are going to buy the XP booster, they would have bought it already.
No, I
I
fully
mean,
agree that they shouldn't be doing it, but I think that the motivations are a little different between Ubisoft and Nintendo. I
yeah.
fully agree with you on this though. At the very least, that should be allowed to stay on your system.
Yeah.
But it is a glitch. This seems like a legitimate glitch that's being exploited, and glitches are something that video games they're part of the fabric of video games anymore. I mean, watch
Yeah.
any GDQ.
Mhm.
Like glitches are important to the game anymore. It's not
The,
like you turn on Breath of the Wild, they're like, "Oh, data's glitched.
the thing
Can't
with
play it
this
anymore."
though is it's a glitch. That's fine. But this glitch, if there's people if people are able to reach the sprite limit super easy, which it seems like it is, and there's nothing that says when you try to save your level or if you try to play it, you try to test it out while you're making it, there should be a pop-up. I don't know if there is. I don't have the game. Not yet. Where it says, "Hey, listen, you're over the sprite limit. We cannot do anything with this level until you take some sprites out of the level." I don't like I said, I don't know if this is in there, but this is what should be in
It
there.
doesn't seem like there is, and I agree
Yeah.
that that's exactly what should be in there. You should
You sh-
try and hit the save button, and it should gray out or something.
mhm. You
Be
should
like,
not
"Hey,
be
you need
able
to remove."
to unedit that level. You should not be able to leave the editing screen of that level if you have more than the sprite limit. It should stop you and say you got to take something out. This isn't allowed. It should not say, "Okay, here you go. That's fine." And then when you go to try it, it says corrupt data. You've lost all your hard work. That makes absolutely no sense.
No, I agree with you. There should be some sort of like warning popped up, like, "Hey, maybe you should need to go back, take out a Goomba or something, or a paratrooper,
Mhm.
something in here." There's too much. There's too much stuff. You can't save until you fix this. That is the way to go with this. Maybe they'll patch that in the future, but
I see I they have to. I think they have to do that because if the glitch is so easy to do by accident, I think this is definitely something that they're gonna have to patch in. Which it should be relatively quickly, I would assume, because you just I'm no game developer, so I'm not gonna say any more about that. But it should be put in the game. Is all I'm gonna say. So I guess we'll move on to some half Nintendo news.
actually, you want to do the GTA
Yeah,
gambling thing?
yeah, sure
You
if
want
you
to
want.
start that up?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone in the who's listening to the podcast is aware, but Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold billions of copies or billions of dollars. No, not billions of copies. That's a lot.
I would say billions of
Millions of
dollars in
copies
copies,
worth
maybe, but
billions of dollars. It's made literally billions of dollars. It's the best selling. It's been in literally the top 10 selling game since it has come out on the PS3.
I
Every
gotta honestly commend Rockstar on the fact that this game is
absolutely.
still alive.
It's
It's not my
yeah,
cup of tea, but man,
talk about a live service game, one of the very first live service games.
it's still alive.
And yeah, so GTA 5 came out back on the PS3 days. I think it was at the last year of the PS3, like 2012, 2013, something like that. It came out,
Yeah,
and
somewhere around there.
again, it's still one of the top 10 selling games every month since its release. And in order to be one of the top 10 selling games of every month, the GTA Online is what's keeping that alive. And GTA, I've dabbled in GTA Online. I played I don't even know how many hours. It was a good amount of time on it, and it's fun. I liked it. It's pretty cool. My biggest thing about it kind of gets difficult if you don't have friends. It kind of gets pretty difficult, or you're not in a clan, to earn money in the game. So that way you can buy like the really cool stuff, like the tanks and the jets and stuff like that. But I mean, I get the game. They've been updating it every month, adding all kinds of new expansions and new missions to do. They updated with the heist. The heist is what really carried the game because I'm pretty sure the game was on the way out before the heist came.
That's, I think, exactly. I didn't even hear. I didn't know the game was still alive before the
Oh
heist
yeah,
got announced, and then heist has carried that game to something you're basically
pretty
constantly
extraordinary.
hearing about. Like, it's
Yeah.
so big. I remember last year's was like, what was last year's? Like, there was the nightclub opened, and like they
Yeah.
keep
Mhm.
updating the world.
Yeah, they update the world. They keep adding all, like I said, all kinds of new things to do. And the story this week is they actually added a gambling. They actually added a casino. It's a diamond casino update. This story comes from Alyssa Judge at IGN. The update went live yesterday, but some players soon received in-game notifications that they didn't have permission to buy gambling chips to use in virtual casinos, and that is because it's gambling. They added casinos to the game. Casinos is gambling. Gambling is not legal in every country in the world. So there's a bunch of countries that are unable to actually buy the chips in game. I'm assuming in game currency because they already have their legitimate currency that you it's GTA Cash where you actually buy the vehicles and stuff. So I'm assuming that actually I don't know because you would use that same cash to get the gambling chips. So I guess it would
It's
directly
technically
be
gambling.
considered gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, you Reddit users are reporting that they're able to go in the casinos, but they're blocked from purchasing better chips. One user wrote, "Quote: I launched and headed straight for the new building and wanted to buy myself some chips for the game, and they were unable to. After contacting customer support, I received a quick reply that because of my region, I cannot enjoy the gambling related content in the new DLC. I tried buying the High Roller Penthouse, but it was locked for no apparent reason."
Dude,
So, what?
I gotta say this kind of makes sense. like,
Yeah.
like
Alyssa goes on to say, elsewhere, players have created a current list of 54 countries that cannot access Diamond Casino's gambling features. It's wide ranging, including China, North Korea, Iceland, Cyprus, and Poland. In the comments, some of the international players now say they're using VPNs. However, that could land them in trouble with the Rockstar of their country's legal system. The decision to block access to virtual casinos raises interesting questions around loot boxes, which are legally available in some of the countries that Rockstar has blocked. One user wrote, "So far, no reason for the thing to be blocked in my country, Argentina. We have loot box mechanics freely available, and so are microtransactions. I don't see how this buying chips and Diamond Casino is illegal." International governments have been paying closer attention to the games industry and how it monetizes online titles. Last year, the Netherlands began enforcing a ban on loot boxes, while the UK Parliament's Digital, Cultural, Media and Sports Committee recently heard evidence from heavy hitters like EA over randomized in game purchases, also known as
surprise
surprise
mechanics.
mechanics. So anyway, this is really interesting, especially when we since we continued on here. It was saying that in some of these countries you can actually still you can still buy the microtransactions and loot boxes, but
Well, that's because loot boxes haven't fully been accepted as gambling yet. That's
that's
still.
exactly what I was getting ready to talk about. The UK actually has they were investigating loot boxes as possibly gaming, and they came out this week and they said that they do not consider it gambling. So I'm
Which
assuming.
I'm
uh,
gonna level with you as bullshit.
Really, you
I
think it's
think
not
that I think that loot boxes are 100% gambling.
really?
I
I
really do.
the argue that I hear from Greg Miller at Kind of Funny Games Daily is that he compares them to when you go to the grocery store, and when you go to that 25% machine, where they have all the little characters and the little plastic balls, and you put your money in and you get one of those plastic balls. That's what he compares the gambling to, and I mean, I'm sorry, to the loot boxes too. And I can kind of understand that because it's actually the same concept.
Yeah,
You can
but that
see on the
concept is
picture
still a
all.
created predatory concept in order to get you to drop a quarter into something to maybe get your Breath of the Wild keychain that you want, and there's a
Well,
finite amount there. They put like 30 in this thing. You can only spend 30 quarters on it. Loot boxes are endless. You can just keep hitting that I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it button. I think we've seen too many stories with just exploitation of people that are vulnerable, not even just kids emptying out adults their parents like
yeah.
bank accounts. You've got reformed gamblers. I read a story or heard a story, sort of on the fence with Jim Sterling and his views. I think he's a bit extreme, but like he did like a specific "this is about loot boxes" video recently,
Mhm.
and one of the testimonials, like he had people doing testimonials. This guy's brother is an addict. Like he's been an addict for a long time, and he used video games to get out of that.
Mhm.
Except he used like Call of Duty. So now he's like
Well,
dumping his money into Call of Duty.
when did he try to get out of it? Because before
Well, he got
before
out of it
Black
before
Ops
loot boxes.
3, there were no
Yeah,
microtransactions. It was
it
just the
was.
DLC.
Yeah, and whenever microtransactions came in, because it was from the view of his brother. It was
Mhm.
the guy's brother, and he said that like he ruined his life. He bankrupted himself twice. He nearly lost like the family house. Like all this crazy stuff. Got to the point where his parents were managing his money for him. And then he used like video games to get out of it. Like he would put that energies into video games, and now they've moved that predatory practice in the games. So he says that it like kills him every time his brother invites him, like, "Oh, let's play Call of Duty," and he just sees those surprise mechanics pop up, and he's like, "Shit, this is why he's not allowed to manage his own money." And
So
like,
I agree with you, but I also disagree with you. I'll start off first with the children. You can't hold children accountable for emptying their parents' bank accounts.
no, it's on the parents for allowing
Exactly.
them access to the account.
So
But
anytime I hear, oh, the children, oh, my child is wanting to spend all this money. Oh, my child spent all this money. It's the Jack Black thing, where his kid spent like a grand or something on Fortnite.
the difference
That
between Jack Black and your average Joe is that Jack Black can take $1,000
yeah,
hit.
yeah, but the thing is, when it comes to someone under the age of 18, it is always the parent's fault. The parent has to have those boundaries. They have to have those set up. There's plenty of ways to put. They have parental controls all over all the systems, so that way you can have all that there. You can set up passwords, so the child cannot purchase anything whatsoever without entering a password. And the parent can make the password whatever they want. So there are plenty of ways for the parents to prevent their bank account from being emptied. Now,
The
when
developers don't want you to prevent your child from
that
doing that.
that's fine, but the developers have no control over the platform
Oh, no, no, no.
holders who
Don't
have.
defend. The
I'm
developer
not
makes
defending
it to
them.
where it like 100% targets children and people
That's
that are
fine,
vulnerable already.
but again, they're not responsible for the parental controls that the platform holders have in place for
Unfortunately,
such
that's the
reason.
kind of stuff that the developers are using is like, well, it's not our fault that little Johnny spent 2 grand on a game before you realize that
It
I
is
put
not
two
their
grand's
fault.
worth
It
of.
is the fault of the parents when it comes to under the age of 18. It is
Well,
100% the fault of the parents
no.
because
If the
because
practice didn't exist, it wouldn't be this. It's demonizing at this point. It's demonizing video gaming, and that's the way that parents respond. All this crap about like video games are the devil's whatever, and like they're awful. I don't want you playing them, little Timmy. All this kind of crap that exists now
no,
about
I
games
disagree.
is that, well, it's that kind of mentality. It's that sort of like oh, I didn't pay attention and he spent all this
That's
money. Like,
exactly right.
well, yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't pay attention.
I
You
get
did not do
that.
your job as a parent. You
But
did not pay attention.
when you have, your kid, like, I got him this for Christmas. Here you go. It does fall on the parent to get ahead of this. Like, I'm not saying that the parent's faultless. I would even say, that their negligence of what the game is leads to other stuff. Like, you get, oh yeah, the parents that buy their 10-year-old this super violent game. They're like, I don't know why he's drawing pictures of eviscerated bodies. Uh, that sort of stuff. Like, you know, parenting does matter, but I think that the industry itself should be held to a standard. Like, they shouldn't be able to hide behind that. Like, oh, parent better. Like, hey, I gave your kids cigarettes. Sorry you weren't there to make sure that they don't smoke now, but you should have parented better.
That's
Like,
completely different.
it's not when it comes to the idea of addiction and the idea of acceptance. Do you know that people use the term default as a bully term now?
Default as a bully? What does that mean?
Default. Kids are calling each other default
I've never heard of
because
that.
yeah, it's a thing now. You've got this idea that if a kid starts playing a game, say they start playing Fortnite, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, I see what you mean now.
their kids don't want to play with other kids because they have the default skin.
Yeah,
They don't want to
I
play.
have heard of
They want to
this.
kick you
Yeah.
out of. They want to kick you out of parties.
Mm-hmm.
They want to not play with you because of a default skin, and that skin doesn't matter. It's all about what you get when you land. It's all about your capability. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter, but
This
it's now a way of making fun of each other. Like, oh, he's got the default shirt. So then it turns down to your kid goes to you. They're like, can I please get $5 so I can buy a new thing? And
And
like,
see,
this
that's
is
where
what the
you're going
industry
with
has
this. It's
created.
completely different than loot boxes. You're talking about just pure microtransactions. You can go in Fortnite and you can just buy a skin that you want. The only loot boxes in Fortnite are in the single player. There's no loot boxes in the multiplayer. That's just all pure microtransactions. Overpriced microtransactions, but not loot
But
boxes.
it's the same kind of predatory practice. It's the same idea that we're going to put this thing in the game that you have to spend money on.
Well, you're taking the conversation from gambling into just pure microtransactions.
Well,
Like
that's
the microtransact like okay, so let's go to the basic. This argument has been made for a very long time. Well, not a long time, but since
since the
microtransactions.
dawn.
Why do I have to pay more money for stuff in the game that I'm playing when it should all just be there? This is ridiculous. This skin should already be in the game. I should be able to get it in the game. Why do I have to pay $5 or $10, whatever, to buy this skin off the store when it should already be in the game? Video games are $60. Video games have been $60 since the start of the PS3 when they went up from $50 on the PS2.
Yeah,
The games have gone from a couple million to make to tens of hundreds of millions of dollars
that
to
is
make some
close
of
to irrelevant in this
the
idea.
better close to irrelevant. The price of making video games has gone up significantly,
Then
but
make
the
the
price of
fucking
video
games more
games has
expensive.
not moved whatsoever.
Make it
Because
$80.
the minute that they say the base game is going to cost, let's say, $80, people are going to be like, "What the?"
That is the most ridiculous, because this idea, this idea that any big AAA developer has any monetary issues whatsoever. This idea that EA is doing this because they need to make a little bit extra money so they can feed their kid. It's all the
They're,
high ends at
EA
EA.
is a huge example of them using the action. Now, granted, they've given millions of dollars to the upper management for
They don't pay the
making millions,
developers anyway, so the
but
people that are working for
be,
120-hour weeks to make
because
these games aren't getting any money. It's upper executives getting money from these loot boxes.
granted, I agree, but also that EA Access thing that with the indie program that they have going on. I don't remember what it's called, indie EA Indies or some crap like that. That wouldn't exist without the extra money from FIFA loot boxes. That program would not be there. Not Yarny, Unravel 1 and 2 would not exist. A Way Out would not exist. That new one that they just
Then
had
those
come out.
games don't need to exist if they have to be funded by predatory practices in their AAA titles on a yearly basis.
So
If the
you're saying
company
that
can't spend the money on these things, then they shouldn't exist because EA very clearly puts all of its actual money into all of these sports games with all of these predatory practices, and then they want to turn around and be like, oh well, I mean, loot boxes funded this new game. Like, could you have maybe, I don't know, put money into it because you make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars? If they weren't profitable
from the
already,
loot boxes.
the games, though, that's the no.
That's what they make all their money off of.
They don't. Look, they
How
make
much
money
did
off of
Dragon?
loot boxes.
How
Period.
much did?
They
How
make
much
they
did
make money
the?
off of loot boxes. That's not where they make all of their money from. They make tons of money from the base sale itself. If the only way that they could do this, if the only way that they could make money off this was loot boxes, those games would just be free to play. They would
How
just be
much?
full of all these same gotcha mechanics. If they were free to play, then EA could very simply be like, "Oh, that's how we make our money," and people are like, "Oh, you know, that's how they make their money." But they're not. They're
It is.
$60 games, 60, 70, 80, 120, $200 special editions that you then have to load up and keep buying loot boxes from. The
I don't
idea
know.
that loot boxes are necessary is obscene.
I'm not okay. To be clear, I do not think that loot boxes themselves are necessary. I personally do not like loot boxes. I hate loot boxes. I play Apex. I've been playing Apex every day on my vacation.
Oh, so you're just here playing
And they
devil's
have loot
advocate.
boxes. I hate loot boxes. Microtransactions, I'm fine with, because if I can go into the game and I can see, oh, look at that skin. That skin looks super cool. I want
And
that skin.
that's
I'll pay
fine.
money for that skin.
When you can
You're
buy
saying that it's not, because that
exclusively
you're
that
saying that
skin.
that's part of you're literally saying that that's part of the predatory practice, because
It's
that's a
100%.
microtransaction.
It's 100% predatory. But what they've done with these loot boxes is they've evolved that into something even more predatory, even more tricky, even more garbage. Like Overwatch, which those skins don't affect the game whatsoever. But you can't just buy the skin. You have
Yeah.
to buy currency to buy loot boxes to potentially get that skin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the predatory thing. And microtransactions, loot boxes fall under that microtransactions protection. That's what the game industry is using, is like, well, it's just another microtransaction, just another way to, get a little bit of extra money out of the game. We put all these hours into
that's
it.
what this story is about. Is they're not is people in these countries, or the reason it's not available in these countries is because Rockstar says, we know this is actually gambling. This is not a loot box. This is actually gambling. So loot boxes in some
Are
aspects
gambling.
are not necessarily gambling. Going back to the quarter in the machine, you're getting something. If I go to a casino right now and I put $20 down, that's gambling. I'm gambling that I'm trying to make money. There's 9 times out of 10, I'm walking out of there losing $20, right? When
But
you
then
buy
you're
a
out
loot
of that
box,
$20. If you go to the ATM, pull
that's
out
fine.
$200 more to keep trying to get more money, that's what these companies are aiming
Well,
towards. That's what they're trying to get.
It
They want you to
like I said,
pull in that lever.
it can go either way, because when you go to the casino and you're actually gambling, 9 times out of 10, you walk out of there with nothing. You walk out of there with a loss, let's say. But when
Like
you
no
buy a loot
house, no
box,
car, go hard.
when you buy a loot box, you're always getting something. Like, it might not be something you want, but you're always getting something. And now I'm not saying that loot boxes are not gambling, because like I said, it can go either way. I'm not trying to say that it's not. It can go either way. It can be considered gambling, it cannot be. But I just want the difference to be seen, that you're getting something with a loot box whether you want it or not. Gambling, you're 9 times out of 10 not getting something. You're just losing.
Here's the thing about that, though. Okay, the loot box tells you all of the possible things that you could have, and they make it as shiny as possible and as rare as possible, to where you say, I want that skin. I want that gun. That's the thing that I want. I'm going to spend $5 because there's a deal going on right now where I can get $20 worth of currency for $5, and that's the first hook. There's always that first deal. One time only buy, which activates the part of people's brain that's like, well, I've got to do it right now. If I don't do it right now, then I'll never get the chance again. So you buy your $5, for $20. You spend those 4, and now you're hooked. Now you want to keep buying because you want that thing. And that's the gotcha mechanic. That's the thing that the industry is literally teaching each other. They are literally telling each other how to do this to make their games more and more and more and more and more predatory.
It can go. I see your argument. I don't necessarily disagree because I feel like because I have purchased loot boxes in Overwatch.
So have I.
I have
Because I
not gone
wanted all the
crazy.
Halloween skins.
9 times out of 10 free to play stuff, I don't buy anything in the free to play games. The only thing I played Apex for tens of hours now, and I have literally only bought the battle pass, season 2 battle pass for $10. I have not purchased anything else in that game with real currency. When I played Destiny, the only thing I bought in-game currency one time, and that was to buy the Michael Jackson dance in Destiny 1. So,
Apex has things in
well,
place though, like you can't get dupes, right?
yeah, you can't get duplicates.
So they've got things in place to where, at the very least, their loot boxes aren't giving you 7 of the same trash voice line over and over and over again.
So
To fill up that spot.
if every developer just said no duplicates, you'd be okay with loot boxes?
It would be a step in the right direction, but I still wouldn't necessarily be okay with the way loot boxes are being treated. Like, another thing that I liked about, because Chris and I played Apex Legends this week, and I am a master now, by the way. The thing with like Apex is that when you level up, they give you a loot box. As leveling goes, it takes longer and longer and longer to get the loot boxes. But by that time, you've already got tons of items. Maybe you don't have the things that you want, but like you've still got plenty of stuff between like level 1 and level 20, that gives you the loot boxes. If that loot box only existed as a way for you to level up and get, as a way to where you're actually being given something like, congratulations on making it to level 10, here's another box for you to open up. If it worked like that, I'd be fine with loot boxes. But the fact that you
So
can
you're
jump
saying
ahead
if
of the
loot
line by
boxes were not
spending
microtransactions, you'd be fine with it.
exactly
That's
that.
what you said.
I'm 100% that. If loot boxes were not monetarily pushed, if you couldn't buy loot boxes might, because loot boxes have existed as a way for games to give you things for a very long time, in
Now,
one way or another. Like, you get a random roll, you get to this point, here's your random thing that you got, congratulations. You don't get the same thing twice, like in Mario Kart. I think I mentioned Mario Kart last time we talked about loot boxes. It gives you a random car piece when you reach a certain amount of coins, and you don't get that piece again. You get it the one time, that's it. You don't
yeah.
duplicate. Like,
Well, that's
the
unlocking
idea,
items. I mean, I guess
but it
it's a
comes
little.
from a big pool of items.
And the Mario Kart items affect gameplay.
Yeah. So like in Apex, it's kind of like that. If you couldn't buy those loot boxes, it would be the same thing, because it's just giving you, here's the entire pool of items, and it's giving you from that pool of items, and when you get that item, the pool deplenishes.
I
So
feel
your
like
chances of getting another item.
with the amount of items you get in Apex, I feel like the community was because all right, I haven't heard anyone complaining about the loot boxes in Apex Legends. I have never
Me
heard
either.
anyone in the community complain about that. But I feel like if you took away the loot boxes from purchase, you put them only in game, and you get them every level or every other level or however they do it, and they say you eventually when you level up enough, you'll get all these items. I feel more people would complain that they would they would just be like, why can't I just buy this item?
Well, that's the different thing. When you're buying from the Apex pool, the items deplenish each time you buy. Like, if
Mhm.
I buy, it's what, 3 things in a loot box. If there's, I know it's a lot more than this. If there's 15 total things,
Yeah.
then I only have to buy 5 loot boxes, and I will have all 15 of those things. The way that the system works now is the pool of a loot box pull never deplenishes. That's where these duplicates come from.
But
Duplicates.
what if you go into a casino and you put money down and then you just keep putting money down? Eventually you're gonna win.
But
So that's the same thing.
here's the thing. Putting that into video games and monetizing it is a way to make someone, from the comfort of their own home, gamble. If I am a gambling addict, I should never go to a casino. I just shouldn't.
Yeah.
But if I'm at home and all of my friends have the new Call of Duty game, and one of the ways that I used to, keep myself from going to the casino is to play a game with my friends. If that gambling mechanic exists within the games, it's going to be another temptation to buy. And that is exactly 100% what predatory practice is you're now going to someone's home and you're giving them, it's like, oh hey buddy, uh deal of a lifetime, spend a quarter the amount, for the normal thing, get $20 worth for $5. You can't pass that up. You can't do that. And then once you buy that first one, that's when they have you hooked because you roll.
So if you're a gambling addict, you know you're a gambling addict. You don't go to the casino. You go home and loot boxes. You're like, oh, I'll just buy one, whatever, whatever. You know you're a gambling addict. I agree. They again, I don't like loot boxes, right? So let's say I
For the
agree
record,
they
Chris is
should
just
not
playing
be
devil's advocate for right.
they should not be in the game, right? So it is still the responsibility of the person. Agreed. It sucks that they're invading your home, right? But there are still ways to combat that. Like if I know that I'm a gambling addict and I know that I should not be buying loot boxes, one of the things that I can do to help be strong, I could have someone else put the put the password on my account so that way I can purchase loot boxes. But you can still log in to your, let's say, PlayStation account, Switch account, whatever, whatever. You can still log in and play games online without having to know the password. You put it in one time and you just keep logging in. So
But these
if I
people
have
aren't
like a
strong,
significant
and
other,
that's what the developer is hoping for.
I agree with that. So let's say that my significant other or my brother or something like that, they put the password in. They know the password. I can't purchase loot boxes because I don't know the password. I can still play games online with my friends, but I can't purchase loot boxes because I don't know the password. So I agree that it sucks that they're in the house. Like again, like I said, I personally don't like loot boxes. I would rather just purchase the items like they have in the Fortnite multiplayer, which I have not purchased any items in Fortnite multiplayer because one, I don't like Fortnite, and number two, they're super overpriced. But
But on the other hand, you have an 11-year-old who doesn't know the value of money anyway, spending
again,
$2,000 emptying a bank
I
account out.
I don't agree with the child argument.
I
I
know
I,
this
I
sounds like
don't
I'm
agree
that
with it.
church lady from The Simpsons. Please, someone think of the children. But the thing is that companies are thinking of the children.
I
They're
know,
thinking
and
about quick little money
again,
grabs.
if you're under
That
18, you are your parents are responsible for you, and
which is a
that's why I do
lesson,
not agree with them.
which is a lesson learned.
That
Fine, but
the
the first
I agree
time
with
it
you when
happened,
you yeah, I agree with you when you get over the age of 18 and it happens. That's another thing. I just don't agree with parents. With
that's
parents
when
should
it
have
starts, though,
responsibility.
man. You get them into this situation where the kid feels destroyed by the fact that they don't have these items, and then when they become 18, that's still in them. Now, oh, they're an adult now. I'm sorry that Timmy started smoking when he was 14, but now he's 18 and he can buy his own cigarette. It's the same thing. It's an addiction, and it's
It is an
building
addiction.
an addiction into our society.
I agree with that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to what we've been playing because we can just go on and on and on about this, and we'll just be
Welcome
going
to the
back and forth.
4-hour version of the
We'll just be
podcast.
saying the same things over and over. So we'll go on to what we've been playing. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first? What we've been playing?
Do we want to start with our? Do you want to start with our group? With our team play this week.
Okay, yeah. So team play. Me and Jason got together a couple days ago, and Jason actually wanted to try out Apex Legends because he heard how good the game is and how much fun it is, and how much better than every other game in the world it is. So we
Every
decided to
other
play Apex Legends.
100-man battle royale. Yes.
So Jason, how was your experience?
I don't think I will ever actually be good at this game, but I do like your idea of the rat approach.
That's right. So the rat approach is, especially if you lost a teammate right at the start of the game, or your teammate's an idiot and wants to drop into Market or Skull Town, then
Yes, those places. Words I know
you
now.
you land in a remote area where there's a couple buildings. It's not crazy. You get some stuff, and then you just hide on the outside of the ring until eventually you come in second place.
No, it's great because I feel like every battle royale game is this post-apocalyptic hell zone that we're probably going to be at in what, like 2 or 3 years now, at the
Yeah,
rate we're going.
about there.
Basically, this is all for water to me. This is water wars. Uh, and this is how this is. To me, it's like a survival game. Like you're on the fringe, you're out there, you're just waiting it out.
Yeah,
You're keeping yourself, nice. You're gathering the scraps, and then whenever the last two teams shoot it out, and the winning team is healing, you shoot them in the back and take their stuff.
that's right. Well, I
Which is
mean, you
how
win.
I'm
You gotta
gonna.
take it.
This is how I'm going to survive in the wastelands, and it's how I survive in battle royales. So really, maybe battle royales aren't that bad. Maybe they're just teaching kids now how to survive the coming
Some
coming
battle
water
royales are
droughts.
bad. Some are good. Some are bad.
but,
Radical
but yeah, man,
heights.
I enjoyed it. I think what was I who was I playing as, the soldier lady?
You were playing as Bangalore. Yep.
As Bangalore. Okay, so Chris and I are on the roof, and the other two teams notice us. Chris is playing the robot with the grappling hook,
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder. So like we get on the roof, and I don't even think I told you this. Whenever I shot that smoke grenade out, two things. One, I thought that I could see inside the smoke grenade. You cannot see inside the smoke grenade.
No.
Uh, B, I thought I was actually dropping my ult on the enemy on the ground, and in
Ah.
reality, I shot my smoke grenade directly into the thing I was hiding behind, and it just rolled underneath this and smoked the top of the roof. So if anybody didn't see us, they immediately said saw us.
But what did you think of the you because you normally don't play battle royales. So do you think that this is something? Did you enjoy the gameplay of it?
I
You
actually
think
did
you might
enjoy
go
it.
back?
I plan to play again. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of battle royale, but I gotta say, Apex Legends, it I can't imagine enjoying it playing alone, but like playing it with you
Oh.
or like with somebody that you're communicating with is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It gets super frustrating, like because normally whenever I play alone, I'll just knocking out like weekly challenges. But when you play with friends, like 8 out of 10 times that I played this week, I was playing with buddies, and yeah, it's super fun when you're playing with buddies and you're. What do you need? You need this scope. You need this gun, or you like this gun? I found this for you. I'll trade you for that, or whatever. But what did you think? What did you think about the actual characters and implementing the kind of Overwatch type of
it
gameplay
feels it feels a
into
little bit
battle
like
royale?
Overwatch. It's not as polished as Overwatch when it comes to responsiveness and things. I do feel like, because I only played two characters. I played Gibraltar and Bangladesh, Bangalore.
Bangalore, Bangalore, Bangalore.
Bangalore, that's it. Yeah. So I really only played those two, and they both felt really heavy. Like in these arcade style like shooters, I'm used to things being able to jump like 18 feet. Like
Oh yeah.
so, it's more
I get
it's
that.
more of a realistic weight to your character, I guess.
And see that's
Which
interesting because whenever she gets shot at, she gets super fast. And even by default, and it's really interesting that the way they play with your mind whenever when they made the characters, because every character in the game runs at the same speed. The difference is the animation. So when you play as Gibraltar, he has like a really slow animation with his hands. So even when you're running with your gun put away, it feels like you're moving. It feels like you're
through
moving
mud,
super slow.
you're moving really
And
heavily.
yeah, and as Bangalore, especially when you get shot at, you start your hands start moving really quickly, so it looks like that you're flying and you're zipping around all over the place, and like you're like the Flash almost.
What
But
about the speedy dude? Does he has to move
well,
faster than everybody else, right?
well, even okay, so they all move the same default run speed. So when Bangalore gets shot at, and her passive activates, then she moves faster than everyone else. And Octane is the speedy guy. So whenever and he again runs at the same default running speed as everyone, but whenever he activates his L1 ability, is I don't know what they call it, his L1 ability, then he stabs himself with the speed juice, and then he runs faster than everyone else. So it's
Speed
only in those
juice.
two particular yeah, it's only in those particular instances where their speed is actually greater than everyone else. But everyone's other default run speed are is the same as everyone else's. So it's so weird because whenever you like again, whenever I play as like Lifeline and my hands start moving really quickly as I'm running. I'm like, man, I'm so fast. Look at me. I'm like a ninja. And then I go and play like Caustic or Gibraltar, and their hands move super slow. I'm like, God, man, this sucks. I need to go back to the other kick. But in all intents and purposes, they're the same
That's
speed. But
that's really cool. I gotta say, I don't like battle royales. I don't think that I've been very secretive about that. But I am enjoying this, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I had you to play with.
hmm
Um, Maybe in a future we'll stream our playing, and you guys can see exactly how pro I am. I got 1 kill.
you
You
did.
know,
And to be fair, he got one kill within what like 3 or 4 level ups that you did,
it was
and
like my
I
second
was
or third
like
level. Yeah.
almost level 10 before I got my first kill.
And
So
I also hunted that person down like they were a dog because they were downed, and I walked up to them and I shot them in the freaking face. I like murder animationed them,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
which
execution.
made me feel like the most badass. I mean, I died like 17 times after that, but like I felt pretty good for that moment.
Yeah, the game is really good at whenever, especially when you get into a firefight and it's 3v3 and your team ends up winning, it makes you feel really good. Like, man, we really screwed them guys. Like, especially if like you get the jump up. There's one really cool moment. It was me and my buddy playing, and there was only the two of us on the team. I don't know what happened to the third guy. And there's an area on the pit where there it's like this little circle, and it's got a bunch of loot in there, and there's three different alleyways that you can go to get into the pit. And what happened was me and my buddy were running, and I said, "Hey, I hear something." So I immediately hid in the bush, and he was farther along in one of the alleyways, and he hid in his bush, and we both just sat there in our bushes while the entire enemy team came walking up through that same alleyway. And sure enough, when I said, "Okay, go," because I saw that last person come, they were literally getting shot from both sides, and it was just a really cool moment because you're playing with your buddies, and I mean, it happens in other games, Ghost Recon or Fortnite or whatever. Whenever you just pull off that really cool tactic that you had, and we destroy them because they didn't know what the heck was going on. They had someone in front, someone behind. They didn't know what they were doing. So it's just really cool whenever you get um whenever you just destroy another team in that game.
I will one day perhaps know.
So I have some stuff that I want to talk about on my what I've been playing, but I'll actually hold it for next week because I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I'll let you go ahead and move on to your two other things because one of the things that you played this week is super interesting to me personally because I've been considering getting this game and it's actually a new release. So you want to finish up your stuff?
Yeah, I'll start out with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3
The big one just came out
because
Friday.
yeah, it just came out Friday because I wanted to play a lot of other stuff. Like I've been playing Warframe. I streamed a couple times this week, doing some leveling, doing some Nightwave stuff. But I just keep going back to turning on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and playing through an entire like episode a day. I got it Monday, and I'm on chapter 5. So if you follow the progression on that, I've been playing literally daily. I did 2 in the first day because I think the first episode's a little short. But I have been playing the crap out of this game, dude. If you've ever played an Ultimate Alliance game, it feels just like dropping back into that. It's got a real polished look to it. It's got that like really nice comic book style, which is
Yeah.
cool because if you look at that other Avengers game, they look like well the stunt doubles. They look like they don't look great. I don't like their voices. I don't like their faces. This game, since they're in the like comic book look, and even if it's from the movies, like Star Lord is straight up looks like he comes from the movie. Like the Guardians in general look like they come from the movie, but they're the comic book style of that. So when Drax starts speaking and his voice is kind of off-putting because it's not Dave Bautista, it's
Mhm.
okay because you're not looking at an approximation of Dave Bautista. You're looking at the comic book version of Drax.
Okay.
So
I see what you mean.
it's really nice. They actually grabbed the Spider-Man PS4, which is a game that both of us love.
Yeah, I heard
His
about
voice
this.
actor is Spider-Man in the game.
Yeah, Yui
So the first
Lowenthal.
time I got Spider-Man, when he walked in, I was like, "Holy crap, that's Peter Parker!" And he looks a bit like Peter from the game.
And you know what else is interesting about it? You remember that old Deadpool game that came out on PS3?
Yeah,
And it had Nolan North playing Deadpool. He
yeah.
plays Deadpool in this game too.
I didn't know that. I hadn't gotten to Deadpool yet. He's coming
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry,
No.
spoilers.
That's no. I know Deadpool's. I know Deadpool's in it.
Yeah,
Nolan North voice. It's actually quite funny. I can pick Nolan North out of a crowd. That guy's
exactly.
voice is burned into my head. But yeah, like actually, now that I think about it, I don't even know if I've seen Spider-Man's face. But in my head, he just looks like Spider-Man from PS4. Like, he just looks like that Peter. But this game is a lot of fun. There's a couple of things I can complain about. Some of the fights are really, really hard.
Mhm.
Especially like there's this place called Infinity where you go in and you do challenges. Those challenges, man, it'll say like level 7, but what it really means is level 15 if you want to get all 3 stars. It's
Wow.
saying it's saying you can beat this at level 7, but it's you can beat this at level 7 and you can get the thing for beating it, like you can get the prize for beating it. But if you want all 3 stars, you need to come back here at like level 12 and give it a shot. Which I think is a cool way to go about it. Placing it like this is a level 9 fight, you can beat it at level 9, but if you want all 3 stars, you're going to have to come back later. And I think that's a way of prolonging the playability of it, and I actually really like it. Even though I don't like getting the crap kicked out of me, I can jump right into it. Couple of downsides that I want to say is the camera gets a little wonky. Camera can be a real pain in the butt,
Yeah.
but
That I've heard that too.
it hasn't taken away from the game for me at
Mhm.
all, like at all.
So I heard that they had implemented some type of leveling system. Is it each character has their own level, or is it like the characters like as a whole have a level? Like just how does that work?
They did this in two different ways, and I think it's pretty clever the way they did it because when you have a huge cast like this, they keep throwing characters at me, and I'm a nerd. So if I'm doing the level where the defenders are supposed to be there, I'm using the defenders.
Mhm.
If I'm doing the
That's
level
cool.
where the X-Men are supposed to be there, I'm using the X-Men. Like
Is there some type of bonus for doing something like that as
you
well?
get
Like,
tons of team bonuses, which is something they implemented in the second game. I want to say. Um,
well, I meant, is there some type of bonus like if you do the X-Men level and you use like all X-Men characters, you get like a level bonus or something like
not
that?
for the level, but you'll get like X-Men. There's so many different like little qualifiers each character has. Like Spider-Man has like big brains, super strength, new Avengers. Um, that all that stuff is on his character itself. So if you team him with say Captain America, you would get super strength as a team bonus. So it gives you like +2 to all strength attacks for the team and like new Avengers, which gives them like a charisma bonus, like or not charisma, but like a recharge rate bonus. So like it's fun. You can actually physically look and see what qualifiers each character has on them, so you can put whole teams together. Like I had the original Avengers team running, um, which gave me like 6 bonuses stacked on just using these same 4 characters, and I had
That's a
just
lot.
gotten Wasp. I had just gotten Wasp, and she was like level 15, I want to say. And I
Mhm.
was running with
Oh, so they don't start every character at one when you pick them up?
nope. If they come
Oh,
at a
that's
point in
cool.
the story where you're supposed to be this level, or they prefer you to be this level, they give them to you at that level.
That's really cool.
By
So
the
you can
time I
use them
picked
right
up
away.
Hawkeye, yeah, by the time I picked up Hawkeye, he was level 20.
So when they do that, if because you can only have 4 characters in your party, do you if you leave like if I leave Gamora out for half the story and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm gonna bring Gamora in. Is she back at that level when you first picked her up and you have to
She's
level her all
back
the
at the
way up?
exact level where you got her, but here's the thing about leveling in the game. I have a perfect example with Wolverine. I haven't really used Wolverine since the opening of the game.
Well, that's your first mistake.
It really is. I got I got to the X Mansion where I picked up a couple of new characters. They were level 20, and I wanted to run the X-Men. I wanted the X-Men, and I had 4 X-Men. I had I'm not going to tell you who the 2 that come in are, but I had Scarlet Witch and Wolverine, which are 2 characters that show up like very early in the game. They're your first big set of characters, and I had not leveled Scarlet Witch at all, and Wolverine was level 6. And when I got into the game, since you have this skill tree that you can just buff everybody with, like plus 30 attack for everyone. And when you unlock the skill tree, when you unlock skills in this tree, it just adds it to your team, period. So I've got
Mhm.
a flat bonus of like plus 60 health, plus 30.
Oh.
So like Wolverine at level 6 is putting in the same amount of work as one of the new characters at level 20. In fact, I ended up jumping to Wolverine because he's got his healing factor.
So what's the point
And
of leveling them then?
the point of leveling is you unlock new abilities for them.
Oh.
So like it's not even like a straight stat thing. Like at level 20 you've got 4 abilities unlocked. At level 5 you've got 1 ability unlocked.
Hmm.
So as you're leveling them, you get the and then on top of that, every character gets the same amount of experience for these fights.
Mhm.
So Wolverine shot up in level to like level 14 before one of my new characters had even rolled over to 21.
Cool.
So like leveling is they put a lot of work into this game. I feel like somebody has been working on this game for like a decade.
Mm.
Like somebody in some back room has been working on this game for a while because it feels like a really well put together team. I haven't bought the DLC pack yet, but I intend to.
Is it just more characters or is it actual like
It's
new
more
episodes?
characters, more story, and more like stuff in general. So
How
it's
is the story in the game? Is it enjoyable?
oh
What
my
is the
gosh,
story?
the story is so much fun. I just want to keep going. Like it's got that action packed. It's got everything that you feel about this big event. Like if you've read comics or even watched the movies or anything, if you know that feeling of like we've got to go, there's stuff happening, we're putting out fires all over the place, we're the hero saving the world and this is a global galactic even threat.
Mhm.
It's that feeling. Like I never feel like I'm wasting my time. Oh, I've got to jut over to Avengers Tower to do this. Oh, I've got a call from Hell's Kitchen. There's something going on over here. Like you're just jumping from place to place constantly, and they give you characters so quickly where it doesn't feel stale. Like I'm not stuck using the
That's
Guardians of
cool.
the Galaxy for half of the game. I am literally halfway through the game because there's 10 chapters in the game. I'm on chapter 5, and I've got to have 20 characters. And I just keep rotating them out. It's like, holy crap, I got Iron Fist. He's so much fun. Holy crap, I just got this person. They're so much fun. Like, every character feels unique. Um, your punchy characters don't just feel like punchy characters. Like,
Mhm.
the Hulk is a big, strong guy. Luke Cage is a big, strong guy. And they feel like completely different characters.
That's cool.
So, I could talk about this game forever.
Have you tried the multiplayer yet?
I haven't tried multiplayer yet, unfortunately. I do have a couple people that I know who have it.
Mhm.
We just haven't been able to line up because my shift. I mean,
Yeah, because my question was gonna be, do when you play the multiplayer, do the people who play with you do they import their own heroes, or
I'm
do
not
they have to
sure.
play some of your heroes? But and
I
what
was
level they
curious
would
about
be?
that myself. Actually, I was curious. I haven't tried it yet, so
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to get to it this week. But
Okay.
holy cow, this game is not perfect. The camera kind of sucks. The load times are pretty slow compared to some other stuff.
Yeah.
But oh my
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of
gosh,
fun.
it's so much fun.
That's pretty cool.
Would you
So do
like
you
to
want
know?
to hurry up and because I know we're running kind of long here. Do you want to touch on the other stuff real quick or?
The only other thing I got is like I said, I've been playing Warframe. I'll go into more detail about it next week because I'll be playing Warframe next week also. Overcooked. If you've not played Overcooked,
Free game
everyone
on
got this.
PlayStation Plus. Free
Everyone
game
got
on
this
Epic Game
free.
Store.
Everyone got this free on the PlayStation Plus store. Uh, was 2 months ago now, Chris? 3 months?
It's been a couple months, yeah, probably like 2 or 3 months.
But finally, because I got it and I don't feel like it's a game you want to play alone. So like, I got my girlfriend playing it, and we obsessed over this game for two weekends basically. Uh, The first weekend we blasted through half of it, and we had this rule where it's 3 stars or nothing. If we don't
Oh
make three
wow.
stars on a kitchen, we don't beat that kitchen. And this past weekend, dude, we 100% cleared that game.
So
Like
what do
three
you
stars in every
what do you
kitchen.
do in the game?
It's a cooking puzzle game. If that's the best I can maybe give it. You've got to do. It's more of a It's more of like a puzzle. You've got to put together specific dishes. Like you got to make a hamburger, so you've got to chop and cook the meat. You've got to chop this, and they keep making the kitchens more and more complicated. Like maybe in this kitchen, the only way you can get things to each other is through conveyor belts. In this kitchen, dude, literally, in this kitchen, you're in a volcano,
Oh.
and from time to time, the bridges over the lava will just change up. So you've got to and everything's on timers, and you
If
have
you
to
get hit in
become
the
this
lava, do you die?
you don't die, but if you're carrying something, you lose that thing. You lose that
Oh,
food immediately. Uh, the pot will return or the plate will return, but the food that you had in it is gone. So you've got to start the dish over.
oh
So you've
dang.
got the timers on I want a hamburger, and there's a little timer that's green and it starts leaking down, and the sooner you get that food out, the bigger the tip you get from that food is. And oh my gosh, dude, it's a pretty great indicator. My girlfriend and I get along pretty well because we became a well-oiled machine of 3-star murder. Like we were just like in each kitchen, like we were like 3 stars, 3 stars. Sometimes we wouldn't even be speaking. We would just get into this rhythm and we would clear the kitchen, and it's like, oh my gosh, this game, I cannot. Counteractive to this, I played this with a random group of friends. Um, some super close, some not as close. Like 4 months before that, and we were garbage. So get a partner you can work with, and this game is I can't say enough good things about it.
So do you think you're gonna get Overcooked 2 then?
I am eyeballing it. I'm secretly hoping that PlayStation Plus will give me Overcooked 2.
I don't know.
Or like
It took a
Twitch
while to
will
get
give me
Overcooked 1.
Overcooked 2. Exactly. So it's like I think I might within the next month or so, especially if it goes on sale. I'm probably going to be grabbing Overcooked 2 because holy cow, the premise of it, the artwork of it, the story of it, like everything about this
Oh,
game is
there's a
just like,
story to cooking in a volcano.
oh yeah, you're obviously okay, you're cooking to avert the apocalypse. The great devourer, the ever peckish, has come, and we need to, eat. But anyway, yeah, just there's more on the story
The
later.
apocalypse is coming. Let's eat.
Well, there's a monster that wants to eat the world, and you've got to keep him fed. So
Okay, okay, I see.
there's some time travel involved. It's crazy,
Some
but
time
you know what?
travel and cooking burgers. You got to time
Yeah.
travel.
Well, I mean, and
Man,
burritos.
this sounds
There's time
awesome.
travel burritos. The person's an onion who's telling you how to do stuff. The game's great.
I'll have to find some friends.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I mean, I'm gonna try and get you to play more Warframe this week. We're gonna talk about it. We can talk about it next week. But
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it next week.
there's not. I mean, we've already gone over time today, I believe. Yeah, we're a little
Yeah,
today.
a little
So
over.
all
That's
right.
fine.
So we're
All
gonna
right.
wrap.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Remember, I'm Chris. That's Jason. Big thanks to Leonard for editing any mistakes that we have. And we'll see everyone next week. See ya.
Yeah.